and welcome back to another episode of Damien Ruins Horror Movies. My name is Damien. Tonight's movie is Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. It came out in 1981 and it was originally called Night Warning. Neither title really makes any sense. This episode is brought to you by Cool Dude Inc. Click the link below and go check out some shirts. Go make yourself look good. And don't forget to like and subscribe, share, turn on your notifications because my schedule's kind of gone out the window lately. Originally, I picked this movie because it's graduation time, because as I record this, it is early June, so all you seniors are getting ready to graduate. But this movie also works because it's Pride Month, and this movie works in that same vein. So it's celebrating both Pride Month and Graduation Month. So let's jump into this movie. It's directed by William Asher, who he's just done a lot of TV shows. I'm not going to get too into him. The movie opens with a young Billy being held by his Aunt Cheryl, saying goodbye to his parents for the last time. He doesn't know it's the last time, although the way that kid cries, it seems like he knows it's the last time. That little kid's one hell of an actor. He got his 15 seconds of fame because that's the end of him in this movie. Because then we forward 14 years into the future after Billy's parents' brutal death, which was pretty brutal. It's morning, and Aunt Cheryl goes into Billy's room to wake him up, and she does it in a weird way where she lightly runs her finger, lightly scratches and makes purring little kitten noises, like she's trying to be cute. But before she does that, she sees his wallet and she starts going through it. I don't know why she's going through it, because she wasn't even looking for money. She starts she finds a condom and looks at some pictures. Because it was the 80s, man. That's where you kept your condoms and pictures. We quickly find out that Billy is obsessed with basketball, and Aunt Cheryl is obsessed with pickling. Tomorrow is Billy's birthday, and Aunt Cheryl has a special evening planned. Billy wants to know if he can bring his girlfriend Julie, but Aunt Cheryl's like, no, I'm going to be your girl tomorrow. There's some weird, stuff going on here that Billy seems completely oblivious. He's not even playing dumb. He is dumb to what's going on here. And Aunt Cheryl has always got this look like she's up to something. And after school that day, Billy goes to Cheryl with his good news. He's like, I might get a scholarship. I'm going to go away to Denver to go to college, which coincidentally is where Julie's going to be going to school. But Aunt Cheryl is not into the idea at all. She does the opposite what parents want you to do, because usually the kid's like, I'm going to take the summer off and find myself. No, you got to go to school. But he's like, I want to go to school. And she's like, no, I got you a job lined up. I want you to take the summer off. I got you something lined up. Isn't that where Julie's going? And he's like, well, I'm going, and that's the end of it. That's final. Nobody can stop me, not even you. And then she bitch slaps him. But then the next morning, on his birthday, he gets a card from old Aunt Cheryl, who seems to have had a change of heart, and she writes in it, happy birthday, I'm sorry we fought, and good luck at your new school in the fall. That afternoon, the TV repairman finishes up. And Aunt Cheryl throws herself at him, and he's not having it. He is not the least bit interested in him, so she bitch slaps him. And as he tries to leave, she pulls out a butcher knife, stabs him in his back, and then he turns around and she stabs him again. About this time, Billy's coming home from school, and it's funny because there's light out. And Billy's going by, and Billy's kind of looking in the window like, what the hell's going on in there? Which is weird, because I don't think he could actually hear a commotion or anything. He just, for some reason, he's just like, oh, I always like to look inside the kitchen before I actually enter the house. Because so far, Aunt Cheryl hasn't really done anything to show that she's crazy. And then Billy finally comes in, sees a lot of blood, and sees Aunt Cheryl holding a knife. He's like, what the hell just happened? She's like, he tried to rape me. He's like, oh my God. And keep in mind, it's Billy's birthday. So right about this time, I don't know how close Frank and Marge live. I want to say they're the neighbors, but I don't think they're that close. They show up, and I think they kind of knock, and then they just walk in. They're like, all right, we brought some cake, and oh my God, what happened? We need to call the police. The cops show up. Detective Carlson is the main. He's our main cop character, and he's having nothing to do with this rape story. He's like, what? He doesn't even entertain the idea that she got raped. He questions Billy because Billy was holding the knife when Marge and Frank walked in. So he's like, so what happened? He's like, rape, huh? There are no signs of a rape. There's no signs of any struggle. He's fully clothed. Her clothes are not torn. She's not bruised. She's not battered at all. You were holding a knife when Marge and Frank walked in? I mean, come on, Billy. What really happened? The next day, Aunt Cheryl starts making a loft apartment for Billy in the attic. And Billy's not allowed to go up there until she's done. So he goes up there anyway. Somehow his dumbass falls down the stairs. She's like, what were you doing up there? But she didn't get too mad right off. At school, Detective Carlson shows up to pay Coach Landers, Billy's basketball coach, a little visit. Just kind of weird that he did it during school hours while class was going on. But he starts asking him questions. Because the ring on Brody, the guy that got killed, on his finger, there were initials on it. There were Brody's initials, and then there was Coach Landers' initials. So he's like, you guys were lovers, weren't you? And Coach Landers is like, yeah, so what? And then the light bulb goes up in old Carlson's head. And he's like, that's weird. You guys are gay lovers. And he tried to rape this woman. Something doesn't add up. And the word gets out that Landers is gay. And it'd be a good idea if he resigned. So he did. And Eddie, played by a young Bill Paxton, starts giving Billy some shit about it. He's like, oh, now I understand why you and Coach Landers were so close to each other, huh? And then they get into a little fight, which it gets broken up, and that's kind of the end of it. Like, there's no detention, there's no suspension, there's just, there's no trouble at all. You know, this is the good old days. Like, you get in a fight, and that's the end of it. When Billy gets home, he's confronted by Carlson, who's kind of lurking around, trying to solve the case. He starts dropping F-bombs on Billy. And by F-bomb, I don't mean fuck. Carlson has it built into his head that there was a little love trial going on. Cheryl didn't kill anybody. Billy was holding the knife because Billy did the killing, because Billy got in a fight. Somehow, Landers, Billy, and Brody are in this love triangle that got out of hand, and now Landers and Billy can finally be alone together or something. And old Aunt Cheryl is just taking the rap for him. Because Carlson seems to hate gays so much that there's no way Aunt Cheryl could be guilty. Because homosexuals are sick, and they're molesters. I'm not sure how much this movie reflects how people thought at the time and how much was written into it. Usually horror movies are pretty good. Movies in general, I think, they're pretty consistent of what like the consensus was of the time period, though. Aunt Cheryl has a secret room. It's up in the attic near where she's building the apartment for Billy. It's a little shrine that she goes to, but she gets interrupted by Sergeant Hook, who knocks and then just comes into the house. And she finds him and she yells at him. She's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Go. You can't. Why are you in here? And he's just like, he's kind of passive, like, sorry. And he leaves. Coach Landers pays Carlson a visit. And he explains to him that Brody used to be married to a woman. So if he liked women once, maybe he still likes them a little bit. He's throwing his dead lover under the bus to try and protect Billy. Which is kind of, that's nice of him. I mean, it's like, it's weird how unaffected, because that is his lover. His lover's dead, and he seems to be unaffected by it, which kind of proves the case for Carlson. It's like, that's weird. That's your lover. You seem unaffected by it, and you're trying to protect Billy, who I think was also your lover. You know, it's like his intent, I think, was to clear Billy's name, but maybe he made him look more guilty by showing up, and like, it's like, hey, I still got Billy. Me and Billy can, almost like it was a plan. Billy, you kill him and we can be together. Except in reality, none of that is going on at all. So Carlson pays Julie, Billy's girlfriend a visit and starts questioning her. He's like, so, you guys having sex? And she's like, what? You having sex? Everything okay in that department? She's like, I'm not having that conversation with you. He's like, really? Does that mean it's not going okay? She's like, I'm not. No, it means I'm not telling you. You're a grown man. I'm a minor. So you're not having sex. Well, I'm just wondering. Does Billy seem a little gay to you? She's like, what? Billy's just fine. So you are having sex. It's this weird, like, uncomfortable, inappropriate situation. And finally, she, like, storms off. And then in the next scene, Julie goes over to Billy's house. And they start humping, and we get some boobage. But Aunt Cheryl comes in and catches them and kicks Julie out. She freaks out on him. She's like, get the fuck out of my house. And so she leaves. And when she goes outside, she runs into Sergeant Cook. And who knows how long he's been out there. And he's like, hey, Julie. She's like, what the fuck? What are you doing out here? Apparently watching teens have sex. But he's like, hey, this is actually good that she caught you guys. She's like, what? Were you watching us? He's like, yeah, this is good for the case. Because this proves Billy's not gay. And if he's not gay, then he didn't kill Brody and he's off the hook. And she's like, get the fuck away from me. And then Carlson down at the station gets a call from Julie's mom. Which I don't know exactly what Julie could have told her mom. She's like, yeah, it was fucking Billy. And then his aunt caught us, so I went outside and there was a cop watching, and the cops are really interested in my sex life all of a sudden. But when Cook gets back to the station, Carlson's like, were you outside Billy's house? And did you talk to Billy's girlfriend? Cook's like, yeah. He's like, I got some theories. And Carlson's like, no, you're off this. I forbid you to look into this anymore. I've already got this case solved. I just need the proof. Billy's gay. He was raised by women. He's gay, and that's the end of it. It's a weird thing where, like, Carlson wants Billy to be gay because he hates gays. I guess it kind of makes sense. He hates gays. If Billy's gay, then he can lock Billy up, and then there's one less gay person roaming the streets. Molesting, or whatever the fuck they thought gay people did in the 80s. Aunt Cheryl stops Billy on his way to the big game. She's like, hey, why don't you have some milk and cookies? Because there's nothing like a shitload of sugar right before an athletic event. But he says yes, and he has some milk. Unbeknownst to him, she's drugged his milk. And he gets to the game. He plays for a while. Billy is number 23. Fun fact. This was Michael Jordan's favorite movie, and that's why Michael Jordan chose the number 23 for his jersey. Okay, I might have just made that up. Billy collapses on the basketball court. And when he wakes up, he's in his new room, which looks like a toddler's room. And good old Aunt Cheryl walks in with more milk. She continues to drug his milk. He continues to snoop around. She continues to catch him. But he finds out that Chuck Strain was Cheryl's old boyfriend, not somebody that his mom used to date. And one day, he just disappeared without a trace. He was just gone. Spoiler alert, he's the shrine guy. In the beginning of this movie, Aunt Cheryl's like oddly hot. There's something hot about her. Not like she's crazy and that's hot. There's just something kind of hot about her. She has kind of a unique look to her. But as the movie progresses, she gets progressively unhot. And by the time she cuts her hair off, she just looks fucking crazy. And she starts visiting Chuck's shrine more and more. And one day, Billy has Julie run in and create a diversion. He's like, if you go in and talk to her, then I can go snoop around. And Julie's like, she hates me. I mean, what good is it going to do me to try and talk to her? He's like, just do it. So she does. And while she's talking to her, Aunt Cheryl's like, hey, can you grab that out of the fridge? So she goes to grab something out of the fridge. And Aunt Cheryl has a meat tenderizer and caps her in the back of the head, knocks her out, or possibly kills her. At this point, we don't know. Then she gets rid of the body, and then Billy comes down. She's like, Billy, where did you come from? And he's like, I left you a note and all this crap. And then Marge comes over. And It looks like she's dropping off their mail, but they haven't been out of town or anything. She has like a pie that she made and like a couple magazines. She's like, "Oh, I brought you some sports magazines." It's funny when she lays them down, you can see like the top one is a basketball magazine. The one underneath it is Playboy. It's like, who just casually drops off porn? I mean, technically Playboy's not porn, but yeah, I think in 1981 it probably was porn. And then Billy just kind of like passes out. It has nothing to do with the Playboy. They make I just happened to catch it like the third time I watched this movie. I was like, that's a Playboy. Billy passes out. When he comes to, Marge is seemingly leaving, but she doesn't actually leave. And she's outside the door and she can hear everything that Cheryl's saying. Cheryl kind of lets the cat out of the bag. Cheryl gives us the big reveal. She's Billy's real mother and Chuck is Billy's real father. But Chuck wouldn't marry her. And he was going to leave, just like Billy's trying to leave. And she couldn't have that. So she killed him. I don't think she actually told him that she killed him, but you can do the math. I mean, his body's in the house, for Christ's sake. But she had her sister adopt him, and then one day she decided she wanted Billy back. Now, would it have killed her to ask? Say, "Hey, sister, remember how I didn't want Billy? I changed my mind." Maybe run that by, but instead it's like, no, that'd be awkward. I think I'll just cut the brake line of your car. And then we can just avoid that uncomfortable conversation. I can kind of see the logic, though. That would be awkward. Cheryl leaves the room. She gets a call. It's Julie's mom. And she's like, I haven't seen her and blah, blah, blah. Little does she know, Marge is listening. And when she hangs up the phone, Marge's like, wait a minute. I thought you said you did see Julie earlier today. And Cheryl's like, why were you listening to my phone call? This is one of those moments. This is a lot of movies, a lot of like Rear Window and The Burbs and Fright Night and The Stepfather, the kind of Nightmare Next Door where you suspect somebody's killing somebody and you're onto them. The mistake that you make, never let the person that you think is the killer, never let that person know that you think they're the killer. Do all of it behind the scenes. Never confront. It's like, you're the killer and I'm going to prove it. Because you're going to fucking die. If they're really the killer and they know that you know it, then you're fucked. So we're going to fast forward just a little bit. Cheryl kills Marge. Outside though. When Marge is making a break for it, Cheryl goes after her with a machete and hacks her in the stomach. But turns out Julie's still alive. She's upstairs in the shrine. She sees Chuck's pickled head. She makes a break for it out of the attic, which I don't know where the shrine is in relation to Billy's new apartment, but she's making a break for it. Cheryl hears her. She goes after her, but Sergeant Cook shows up at the same time, so she goes over and Cheryl hacks up Sergeant Cook, somehow drops her machete. Julie grabs the machete, makes a run for it. They get to like a lake or a large mud puddle. I don't know what that body of water is, but they start fighting. They start trying to drown each other. And finally, Cheryl grabs a rock and just starts cacking Julie in the head with it repeatedly. Then she leaves her there. And about this time, Billy's drugged up ass wakes up. He's going to go rescue, even though he has no idea what the fuck's going on, but he can't walk, and he just kind of falls down the stairs, and he falls more. He stumbles. He grabs a phone, and he starts trying to make a phone call. Just then, Cheryl comes in. She's like, you're making a phone call? And she starts choking him so that he can't. He's like, but he grabs a letter opener and stabs her in the heart and kills her. And then instead of calling the cops, he calls Coach Landers. He's like, I killed her. I killed my mom. And Coach Landers got to be confused. Like, your mom died fucking 14 years ago. He's like, I killed my mom. And Landers like, oh, just be cool. I'll be there in a minute. As he hangs up the phone, we get our final scare. Cheryl is back. She's attacking him with the letter opener and slashing him and trying to kill him. And then he grabs a fire poker and stabs her and kills her for real this time. And then Landers shows up. And then the cops show up. And this looks really bad because Carlson walks in. He sees she's dead. Landers and Billy are together. He's like, I knew it. Now I got you guys in the same room. Somehow Billy gets a gun because, like, Carlson beats Landers' ass. And Billy's like, he's going to try and kill me next. And Billy just shoots the shit out of him. Billy goes to trial and pleads temporary insanity. And now he and Julie are attending university in Denver together. Because it turns out Julie didn't die. Bitches be durable. The end. I love a happy ending. The Badass Award goes to Billy for always defending people and standing up for what he believes in. And he killed the two most evil people in town, Cheryl and Carlson. What did we learn? Survival tales. Don't tell women no. Don't just walk into other people's houses. And don't turn your back on a crazy person with a meat tenderizer. That's it for tonight. See you guys next time.